What I want you to know is I am not my illness. I am not my trauma. I am not my brain chemistry. That's part of who I am, but I am so much more. My dark days have made me strong. Or maybe I was always strong, and surviving society's misunderstandings and judgments proves it. Yeah. I live closer to the edge than most folks, and that makes me more vulnerable. I don't hide it the way so-called normals do. My truth scares me. But I am here to tell you that there is something glorious in being considered so odd, so marginal to society. My gnarly bone fingers are deft with the paintbrush, and I've been given the power to paint death in a ghetto of unnumbered souls who were maimed, incarcerated, and killed. Under my watchful eye, I immortalized the ravage to a still life, modeling features of the differently abled, always been labeled men, women, dogs, cats, insects. I am the final barber, the last beautician who venerates the images for posterity. I doubt I would have created this artistic life if not pushed into it by my own flailing mental system. See, art is a shelter of sorts. A painting cares for its painter, allows no interruptions. It's a sweetness, a generous sweetness. I sometimes think of my art as a good parent who might say, I'm here to hold you and have your back while you express yourself, and you have every right to color outside the lines. There's a safety in that holding that I've not had elsewhere in life. I sit at my easel in front of all my questions, clenching and opening one curled hand. My paintings speak of the lies, of the images, the omissions, the imitations of reality held by teachers, officers, judges who want to put me away because I don't fit into a slot like a quarter in a jukebox. They wanted to put me in my place. But see, here, the truth is my job. And I'm still painting after being dismantled and reassembled. I'm still here and hopeful after it all. My walls are full of my art. And I don't want to quit just yet. Not with so many images still in me, crying to get out, sensing something's up, jostling for the exits, clamoring for the door, looking for lifeboats.
I'm scared of depression, of my unknown future, of the mean girls in the next bunk whose words cut deep. These concrete walls look to me like the sea at night, hard and endless. You should also know that I am all about the woods, but here in Silverdale, I cannot hear the birds sing, or go outside to see the fall colors or a flower bloom. When I was little, I liked to go barking, not like a wild dog, but like an archaeologist who ventures into the woods for treasure. Witch hazel bark, which brings $4 a pound in town. You might wonder what an angelic-looking 22-year-old is doing in jail, possibly spending most of my life behind bars instead of out hunting bloodroot and ginseng. Well, I wish I could give you a simple answer. My childhood memories are jumbled up with a father who chose the local bar each night over his daughter who waited up so that he would sing just one karaoke song with her. the song that never came. Soon after he left for good, my mother left my little brother and I on a Ray County highway so she could start over in Alabama. I did too, in church halls and homeless shelters, and occasionally on someone's couch. It wasn't long before I fell in with an old man who sold me out for drugs to feed his addiction and turned me on to meth to bury my own disappointments. It all ended one night when I hit another car head on, killing my passenger and injuring 5 others. That night rolls over in my head as I try to sleep. I feel so alone and tired of living in the past. If I look back straight, which is not the same as remembering at my orphaning, at arriving at school in Goodwill clothes, an odd odor of abandonment, chapped face and hands unrubbed by a loved one, I am lost until I drift back to a steamy hot day when I set off into the woods to hunt nature's bounty, to trade for an evening meal. I am unafraid of forest shadows, of the clash of thunder, of what lightning can do, which has already shattered everything I know. In my restless sleep, the branches that I once bent to find my way home have almost disappeared. So, like now and its friend then, I avoid thinking of my mother, who once tucked me in saying, "It's okay. Everything is going to be all right." I know that she didn't believe her words, but I hold on to them just the same. I have a tattoo that reads, "Stay the course." You might ask how that works. Well, I study on the Rock of Ages Bible study. Last night, I answered 252 questions and play Christian music in my headphones all day. Blessed Savior, make me willing and walk beside me until I'm with them. Be my mother, my father, my sister, my brother. I am an orphan girl. I follow the impulse that leads me to those words, to the witch hazel and the bloodroot and the Jensen and even to ivy and itch. Those same words that have always throbbed. Eat, sleep, gather, love, pray, and have faith. I will hold on to them gently until I can return to the life that I have yet to create.
What I'd like you to know about me is that I'm kind and good, and I am safe to be around. But in my youth, I was diminished as a dangerous lunatic, incarcerated in 20 mental hospitals and prisons before age 24, and that all but bled me dry, drop by drop, from a leaky subsistence. Resurrection from the ravaged body in which I spent my young life has proved harder, and it's taking longer than expected. I've had to swim, holding my breath through sea salt miles of misdiagnoses and betrayals, abandoned by a system devoid of kindness and love. But these days, art has lifted me tall enough for my heart to open ears and eyes. The teacher's gentle touch guiding my brush has loosened my tongue so I may paint my story and recognize myself, though as yet unnamed. For years, parts were left behind in the obscure nooks of padded cells and doctor's offices. But as I draw, people and places grow real, intensely present, creating a caricatured collage of my past. Today, I put a red-breasted bird on the page, and I think I am a bird understander who can paint its shape and sing its song to tell my own story, my way of noticing and expressing the truth plainly and not turning away from hurt. My bird knows his enemies. Whether brutal cat or bitter weather, his life is food. Plucking a leaf beetle, hearing the earthworm crawling beneath the black ground, and shelter, a clean nest for his family. My little bird has shown me what it means to be free, and not that kind of freedom in America some people obsess over. Wave it with red, white, and blue flags and write it on American Patriot shirts. That kind of freedom has something to do with Confederate general statues and a national anthem penned by a slave owner who persecuted black men and freedom fighters. What that kind of freedom really means is, look over here, away from injustice, away from hate, away from throwing folks that don't look like them into mental institutions and jail. But I'd like to tell those folks to look at the birds. The ones I paint, they show me what freedom means. No fear of betrayal, no fear of trickery or unfairness. A body to call my own, a voice driven by my own mind. Freedom to own my own time left here. Freedom to have a choice of when to walk away and then when to fight. It seems so different, the art that moves me now. I long to paint birds, not daggers, that vent my frustration over not being heard. I have this gut feeling that inside, somewhere, perched, so to speak, in the innermost part of my body, on mute since childhood, a bird creature has always lurked in a cramped lair until it could be freed. Please hear my art. The bird in the scene, that's me, released, moving skyward like a lark, saying goodbye to incarceration and piping forth some carefree hymn as I fly.
I am a pro wrestler with a unique set of strikes, slams, and holds that I choose for a round in the ring. My motto, pin onto others as they would pin onto you. This fascination with fighting began in my youth. I was mischievous, misguided, even dangerous. Just ask Officer Turner, the cop I stabbed at middle school for putting his hands on me. At Moccasin Bend Hospital, I tried to tell them, I am a good American. I had no choice but to be a fighter. It does man you up. If I had not struggled as hard as I could, how would I know the shape of my losses or what makes men strong? Scorpion survival is measured in the ability to circle and strike, lunge and sting, stand or fall. Although, I have to admit, my toughest match has not been in the ring, or the hospital, or even prison, but that lonely place where a man crawls inward, engages in mortal combat with a creature that will destroy or carry him home. It was at that point of desperation I met Dana, another patient at the Bend who taught me about surrender, no matter how much I want to fight. Her smile and soft stroke on my bicep calmed me. She taught me that sometimes a boy needs a rest, a return to stillness, and sometimes a woman gets to go with him to that mysterious and holy ground where heartache collides head-on with romance, that deep and shallow land that Dana and I crossed together to overcome the painful yet glorious place which imprisoned us. Don't take it personal, they told me after she left. But I did. I took it all quite personal, and I cursed what hurt me. Enjoy it for what it was, they said of our time together. Think first, they said of suicidal talk. Get over it, they said at the School of Broken Hearts. But I couldn't, and I didn't. I don't believe in a clean break. I believe in a compound fracture served with a side of deep regret. I believe in feeling it all and taking it all back and feeling it again for good measure. Thoughts swirling around like wrestlers that look seasick in the ring. Can you blame me for making a scene? For trying to take my own life? I was a dog chained in some fool's backyard, barking and barking, trying to convince everyone else to take it personal too. I don't know exactly where I'm going. I only know where I've been. That blue shack in a state of confusion, I feel the weight of her heart against my cheek, her hand on my back pulling me towards her in the dark to a place where no monsters can reach. She told me everybody has a heartache. We all must find our way. No matter the fire leaping through holes in time, no matter the earthquakes or the breaking of love spilling over the earth, flying through the ether, stacking one burden against the other. Surrender to win, she said. But the quality of a great wrestler is not surrender. It's the ability to stand there and take smackdowns, no holds barred, and not throw in the towel, to gargle with blood, encounter risk at sub and superatomic levels, to get back up after a fall and say, I'll be back. The waters of my existence were never still. Like a clap of thunder that slaps the mat, I'm realizing being a great wrestler isn't a sport. It's a life.
All my life, I have tried to make bread by burying trouble beneath the surface and praying that a bountiful loaf would break ground like wheat in the spring, offering blessings of hope and tranquility. My loaves are made of a lifetime of secrets. The men who put their hands on me, beat me, left me for dead. All the times I cooked and crooked, got caught with my hands in the dough. Those loaves hold all my father's drunken rages, all my mother's worried edges. Oh, how I longed to smooth the river of her. But I'm the daughter who sold drugs, who traded my soul for an 8-ball and 2/5 of Jim Beam. My bread, unearthed from some forgotten meth kitchen, was dark, moldy, and full of rotten memories. Before I got to prison, the drugs and the booze had eaten the hand that feeds me. Then the arm, the elbow, the shoulder. Hell, it had eaten my whole entire body until I heard the ending to my story. A plastic tarp and a plush ride to the morgue. But now, in these prison walls, a little while dry, a little while with no chattering chimp between my ears, and the wizard once more in Oz, I fall upon my knees and plead to God to deliver me from the desires that fire the night with dreams and infinite longing. What I want you to know about me is I'm strong, and I have hope and faith that after my release, I will be graced by a fresh loaf that steams when I slice it, leavened by the clean air I breathe.
What I want you to know about me is that I'm my mama's boy. You may not think it by my tough exterior, but inside, I'm a jelly roll who believes in love and kindness just like she taught me. Although I backslid a few times on the windy road to get there. Let me take you back to a time where my sister and me would run loose through the shops and arcades of the Whitfield County Mall, where mama worked back-to-back jobs at Payless and American Cookie Company. I was the one with the trendy look that mama didn't have to fuss over. Short braids up top and the rest short all around. Now in that mall, I was a poser. with my Samuel L. Jackson stance, hands deep in pockets of long bulky jeans, a ratty, natty, hand-me-down cross-color shirt. To top it off, oversized knockoff Air Jordans. Now, you would think that I would stand out, but I knew how to vanish into the dark doors of the arcade, that dungeon where I dare to fight demons and dragons all day, where only the Saturday night street fighter King Roster can see me, grab me, jump up about 15 feet into the air, backflipping a dozen times, and slam me straight down to the mat. I enjoyed that. Just to see how he can do it. That swagger he packs in his victory shrug. After I turned 10, Mama let me roam the streets where fighting was real, where my stepbrother and me would skip school, hop trains, and crush our rivals. My mama hoped that I would survive that life without totaling myself. But I was a clown in my family's act, whose downfall began when I hijacked a car at the age of 12, went on a joyride that ended in a crash, and took my friend's life and sent me to juvenile jail for vehicular manslaughter. I remember being in that small room with a twitch that couldn't be calmed, eyes lowered, not looking up or down, thinking if I moved, I'd fall apart. Now, that went on until one night I had a dream that Mama was patting my shoulder with that tender, spirited hand that motioned me to turn my back on the clown and the street life full of clowns that I followed into the darkness. I made a promise to quit holding the pranksters in high regards. While in prison, Mama held on to her dreams of my release until it was truth itself. All the while listening to Tupac's "Keep Your Head Up" and the song "Hang On, Be Strong." She passed her time by collecting secrets from neighbors and tips to hold marriages together and put a golden silence on kids like me who took the wrong turn and forgot the nightly habit of getting down on our knees. During those years of detention, her picture hung on my wall, calling up memories. Closing my eyes, I could smell the aroma of shepherd's pie, taste the double doozy cookies that she would bring home from work, and felt the beauty and ugliness of a hard and painful childhood that could only be soothed by Mama's bright eyes and her words. If you find yourself in a hole, hand yourself a rope and climb out. Looking at her photo, I searched her pupils for a path to peace and imagined her deliberately waiting for me to come home. Sometimes in my dreams, she came to me. "Come here," she said. "Let me sing you a song and help you find hope as you have borne pain. Now hold on, your change is coming. Hold on, don't you worry about a thing. Hold on, I said you can make it. Hold on, everything will be all right."
Yes, I'm incarcerated, but I am so much more than this. When I got to Silverdale, the garden of my life was reduced to rubble. 5 pages of rap sheet, 3 failed marriages, no contact with my children. I had a long row to hoe, but in this joint, weeds sprout faster than I can pluck them, so I keep my head down, smooth the pokey thorns around me, and pray for a better day. You may wonder how I got here. No surprise. A lifetime of feeling unseen, layers of hate, reduced to a sad girl's fate. Or maybe it was because I don't know why, or there is no why. Maybe I just like getting high. My comfort lies in a mother who waited for me, even though her child traded family for drugs and guns. I paid her no mind when I was young and have the scars to prove it. The prickly pears I left behind are all most people can see, but not my mama. She sees forget-me-nots blooming in the garden of my life. Last night, I had a dream where my man and our baby were in a beautiful grassy field. I want another chance at love and motherhood. When I'm released, I will treasure the future as a gift of grace. And knowing with God's help, I can leave that past behind, reseed my garden, and call it anything I want.
I am beautiful, but I used to be a lost woman. Fell in love with men full of lechery so solid you could build a table on it. For years, I chose the man to suit the instant. And when each one left me for dead, well, the blues would camp out inside me for weeks at a time. So I learned to drink and drug and forget the ones who filled my soul with hollow invitations. My story's one of being alone, even among friends and lovers. I want to tell you about the day my life changed. I'd wake up in an alley, a world surrounded by brick. Through a window across the way, a man's face pops up, as if to study my stalled sexuality. His stay is brief. Then another face. The men are taking turns, pushing and shoving for the slightest sight of me. I said I would never be like those women, freely turn tricks for a quarter-gram of coke, but here I am. I wasn't bought or sold into street life. I was birthed into it. Abused by my uncle when I was in the 3rd grade. Afraid to tell my mother. Well, my fate was written on the day I was born. Those men in the window know. I'm theirs for the taking. And leaving. For years, I offered strangers moments of pleasure. I guess you could say I'm in the business of pleasure. That's an irony. The numerous scars littering my body never saw 1 ounce of pleasure. In those dark, red years of hopeless fate, my defiant soul was my only escape. Life on the street costs a lot. The fat cat businessmen hurry by us on their way to work as if we are unsavory, canceling any history of the night before. Looking up at those men in the window, I cry out, please, send help. And it came. My 5-year prison sentence finally shut the door to my body. It provided me with years to reflect and pray. Let me cease to fear the embrace that longs to steal me. That's where I learned that healing can be as deep as the wounds that bound me. Eventually, I became a loose-petaled poppy, blown open, a girl again. For the first time, hearing the earth's heartbeat. I was released early with a knowing that I wasn't going to yield to any random voice that screamed to let me in. And my family, my sweet family, well, they eventually forgave me. And I forgave them for being what I was not. Blessed are they that remember what they have now, they longed for. Today, All I can say is gravy. But that's what my life is. Alive, 3 years clean and sober, working a meaningful job and surrounded by a loving family. Nobody even expected I'd be alive this long. Pure gravy, I tell you.